College Green has long stood as a pivotal location within the city of Dublin. Its historical significance cannot be overstated, having served as a central stage for countless public events and political gatherings throughout the centuries. The very name evokes images of academic life due to its proximity to Trinity College, Ireland's oldest university, founded in 1592. This area was not merely a thoroughfare, it was a destination, a place where the pulse of the city could truly be felt by inhabitants and visitors alike. The open space itself has witnessed the ebb and flow of Irish history, reflecting the changing fortunes and aspirations of the nation. It was, and in many ways remains, a symbolic centre. The Green, as it is often colloquially known, functioned as a natural meeting point for Dubliners from all walks of life. Its strategic position, connecting key parts of the city, ensured a constant stream of people and activity. Important commercial buildings, banks, and eventually the Irish Parliament House, later the Bank of Ireland, came to line its perimeter, further cementing its importance. Political rallies, royal visits, and public celebrations frequently took place here, transforming the space into an outdoor arena for the unfolding drama of Irish life. The ground itself, if it could speak, would tell tales of momentous occasions and everyday occurrences that shaped the character of Dublin. The architectural grandeur surrounding College Green also contributed significantly to its status. The imposing facade of Trinity College, with its learned and somewhat austere presence, dominated one side. Opposite, the magnificent structure of the Irish Parliament House, designed by Edward Lovett Pearce, rose in the early 18th century, a potent symbol of a degree of Irish legislative independence, albeit under the Crown. These buildings were not just stone and mortar, they represented power, learning, and governance, creating an atmosphere of profound importance in the very heart of the capital city. The space became an emblem of Dublin's aspirations as a significant European city. Over time, College Green became a focal point for the display of public monuments, each telling a story of power, allegiance, or remembrance. The decision to place statues in such a prominent public square was never taken lightly. These installations were intended to convey clear messages to the populace, reinforcing dominant ideologies and commemorating figures deemed significant by those in authority. The very act of erecting a statue was a statement, a claim on public space and public memory. It was into this charged environment that the controversial statue of King William III would eventually make its prominent appearance, destined for a long and troubled history. The decision to erect a statue of King William III, often known as William of Orange or King Billy in Dublin, was deeply rooted in the political and religious turmoil of the late 17th century. His victory at the Battle of the Boyne in 1690 was a seminal event, securing Protestant dominance in Ireland and thwarting the ambitions of the Catholic King James II. For the Protestant ascendancy, William was a saviour, a guarantor of their land rights and religious freedom. The proposal for a monument, therefore, was seen as a fitting tribute to their deliverer and a powerful assertion of their political control over the city and, by extension, the country. The equestrian statue, cast in lead, was formally unveiled on College Green on the 1st of July 1701, marking the 11th anniversary of the Battle of the Boyne. The symbolism was potent and unambiguous. King William was depicted mounted on horseback, a conquering hero, sword often in hand, looking resolute and authoritative. Its placement directly opposite the Irish Parliament House served as a constant reminder of where ultimate sovereignty lay and under whose authority the Parliament operated. For the Protestant establishment, it was a source of immense pride and a rallying point for their identity within Ireland. The Protestant majority in Dublin, and indeed across many parts of Ireland at the time, greeted the statue with enthusiasm. It became an instant icon of the Glorious Revolution and the Protestant succession. Annual commemorations were held around the statue, particularly on William's birthday and the anniversary of the Boyne. These events often involved elaborate decorations, parades, and sometimes provocative displays aimed at the Catholic population. The statue was not merely decorative, it was an active participant in the ongoing assertion of Protestant cultural and political supremacy, a visible manifestation of their triumph and continued dominance in Irish affairs. The statue itself was the work of the renowned sculptor Grinling Gibbons, a testament to the importance attached to the commission. It was a significant piece of public art intended to be imposing and enduring. The choice of an equestrian figure was common for rulers and military leaders, conveying majesty and command. However, its very prominence and the triumphalist message it represented ensured that it would not be viewed neutrally by all sections of Dublin's population. For Irish Catholics, who constituted the majority in the country, the statue stood as a galling symbol of their defeat, subjugation, and the penal laws that severely restricted their civil liberties. From its very inception, the statue of King William III on College Green was a source of division, and it did not take long for expressions of discontent to manifest. While the Protestant ascendancy revered it, for many Irish Catholics and emerging nationalists, it was a daily reminder of conquest and oppression. Early acts of defiance were often minor, perhaps involving daubing with paint or symbolic defacement, reflecting an undercurrent of resentment that simmered beneath the surface of Dublin life. These initial acts, though perhaps not always widely reported or treated with utmost seriousness by the authorities, were harbingers of more significant confrontations to come. As nationalist sentiment grew throughout the 18th and particularly the 19th centuries, the statue became an increasingly obvious target for those who opposed British rule and the symbols of Protestant dominance. Various groups and individuals, animated by a desire to reclaim Irish identity and challenge colonial symbols, engaged in more audacious attacks. There are records of attempts to pull it down, deface it with tar and feathers, or even plant small explosive devices, though many of these early attempts were unsuccessful or caused only superficial damage. Each act of vandalism was a political statement, a physical rejection of what the statue represented. The annual commemorations held at the statue, such as the dressing of the statue with orange lilies and ribbons, often became flashpoints for sectarian tension and public disorder. What was a celebration for one community was perceived as a deliberate provocation by the other. These events frequently required a significant police presence to maintain order and prevent clashes between Williamite supporters and nationalist protesters. The statue, therefore, was not a passive monument. It was an active participant in the city's ongoing political and cultural struggles, its meaning constantly being contested and reinterpreted by different factions of society. Authorities throughout the centuries made numerous efforts to protect the statue from damage. Railings were erected around it, and watchmen or police were often stationed nearby, especially during times of heightened political tension or around significant anniversaries. The very need for such protective measures underscored its controversial nature. Despite these efforts, the statue suffered repeated indignities, with various parts being damaged or removed over the years. The persistence of these attacks demonstrated the deep-seated opposition to its presence and the enduring symbolic power it held for those who wished to see a different Ireland. The dawn of the 20th century, particularly with the rise of a more assertive Irish nationalism and the move towards independence, saw an escalation in the severity and frequency of attacks on King William's statue. The political climate was changing rapidly, and symbols of British rule and the old ascendancy were increasingly viewed as intolerable anachronisms in a nation striving for self-determination. The statue, a prominent emblem of a past era of conquest, became an even more potent target for Republican groups who sought to physically erase such reminders from the Irish landscape. Its continued presence was an affront to their aspirations. The statue's long and contentious vigil on College Green finally came to a dramatic end. While it had survived numerous attempts at destruction over nearly 2.5 centuries, a significant explosion in the early hours of a November morning in 1928 caused irreparable damage, effectively destroying it. Some accounts suggest it was blown clean off its pedestal. This act was widely, though not officially, attributed to Republican activists. The authorities, perhaps reflecting the changed political realities of the newly independent Irish Free State, made the decision not to repair or replace it. Its time was definitively over. The destruction and subsequent non-replacement of King Billy's statue marked a profound cultural and political shift in Dublin and Ireland. The Irish Free State was forging its own identity, distinct from its colonial past. Removing such a prominent symbol of British victory and Protestant ascendancy was a clear statement of this new departure. It signified a reclaiming of public space and a reinterpretation of national heritage, where figures and events celebrated by the former ruling power no longer held sway. The empty plinth itself became, for a time, a symbol of this transition and the end of an era. Eventually, the space once occupied by the triumphant King William III saw the erection of a statue of Thomas Davis, a 19th-century nationalist writer and poet, a leading figure in the Young Ireland movement. This replacement was deeply symbolic. Davis represented an inclusive, romantic vision of Irish nationhood, a stark contrast to the sectarian triumphalism embodied by the Williamite monument. The change in statuary on College Green thus perfectly encapsulated Ireland's journey from a colonised territory, dominated by symbols of its conquerors, to an independent nation choosing to celebrate its own heroes and cultural identity.